We continue with our program. Listening to Professor Mansour talking about how the PhD researchers, by the way, let me stop there. Our PhD students has a greater preference to be called PhD researchers than PhD students. But there is this notion that when you do a PhD, that it is a lonely journey upwards. I think within the partnership of Brunel and Alia, we found that we proved that notion wrong by saying we support our PhD researchers with sufficient supervision of a team consisting of 3 people, a principal supervisor, a co-supervisor or a second supervisor, and a research development advisor. So having that, your PhD will never be a lonely journey. You are supported. Yeah. Our next speaker is Dr. Wafi Al Karaghouli. Dr. Wafi will be talking about how to get through and survive the Viva. I think Dr. Wafi will detail it himself, but allow me to say he will present and discuss issues that need to be considered before, during, and after a doctoral Viva. He says himself that it is concerned with ensuring that the doctoral students, doctoral researchers, are well positioned and prepared to maximize the opportunities the Viva offers to candidates to assist them in achieving a successful outcome. Dr. Wafi, the floor is yours.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wassalamu alaikum. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is actually, I've been visiting Ahliya so many times. It is my great pleasure that Ahliya invite me to be the keynote speaker. I'm grateful and privileged to this strong and strategic relationship, especially built on really the shoulder of the founder and the father of Ahliya, Professor Abdullah, Professor Mansour, and Dr. Ahlam, also as well colleague from Brunel, Professor Hamid, Dr. Chima, and Dr. Titania, and actually more people behind the scene. They put a lot of effort to make it happening. And of course, I'm very grateful that my long-term colleague and a friend I could call, Professor Janice from US, she accepted my invite to be here, and we benefit from her experience. And hopefully her talk tomorrow will prove that. For me, this talk, it's about the PhD, and I'm going to really reflect on my personal experience, and very proud to say graduating, or I have completion of 20 PhDs, and from Ahliya I have few, and 2 brilliant ladies now as well I took, and very pleasure to work with Professor Allam as well, Professor Razak. So without further ado, it is personal reflection, in addition to it is academic reflection. But people, they say, before we go to Viva, what is a PhD? What is a PhD? There are so many definitions. Yes, it is, you're going to get a label, but it is a commitment. And I'm sorry to say, Dr. Shirley, they are students. They are not researcher. The PhD journey will make you a researcher. So when you say, what is a PhD? To become a good researcher. What is a PhD? Contribution to knowledge. But the contribution, so many ways. What do you mean contribution to knowledge? It is your novel work. It is new. It is in public domain. You prove yourself, you are a researcher, and hopefully in the future, if you want to go to academia, you're academic. So the step before PhD, before Viva, what is PhD? The Viva is not the end of the journey. the journey will continue. The Viva step, like you did the PhD, you did chapter 1, you did literature review. So hence, I use this picture, not but just to give you a bit of a snap about what happened in the Viva. You are the candidate here, and you have the external examiner, I have the internal examiner. Of course, there are other people there. There is your supervisor, but he or she, they cannot not talk. They cannot look at you. I'm talking about Brunel. We set them aside. Because why? It is your PhD. He or she, they got their PhD. So hence from day one, it is your PhD, not their PhD. To achieve that, you do it yourself. It is a commitment you make, like the commitment when you have a children, like the commitment you have a work. Don't say, no, I can't do it. It is a journey. It is a lonely journey because you are not in a class master to talk to each other, but supported, as Dr. Shelley said. But it is a lonely journey. Hence, it is good to get together and move forward. So I'm going to talk about how to get through and how to survive. And then Dr. Shirley said, it is about before. If you haven't read this book, please do read it. Doesn't matter you are in year 1, you are in the middle, you submitted your thesis, you're waiting for the Viva. You learn a great deal. I'm grateful to my supervisor, and God bless him, Professor Fitzgerald, and the people in IS, they know him. He asked me to read that book. And as I said earlier on to Aisha, my student earlier on, I said, very well done. She said, oh, the book useful. That was my word to my supervisor more than 30 years ago. I said to him, thank you, Guy. Really, I know about PhD. He said, do you know what the reason I asked you to read the book? I said, yeah, for my benefit. He said, no. To see that from day one, you can write. He asked me to summarize the book, and that's what I did with all my students in Brunel are here. And here, I'm sure Ahliya not just put Ahliya on the map, put Bahrain on the map, but really empower women. Really, you guys, you empower women, and well done to all the people here. So read that, please. From day one, I asked them to read it. And I'm sorry to skip because some slides long. Why I don't get PhD? PhD not for everyone. Nothing against the people, they don't get it. It's not like BSc, everyone get BSc. Most of the people, they get a master. But the PhD, it is a privilege because you prove, not just to yourself, to everyone, you are a researcher. You have that label, doctor, because you own it. You work hard, you sweat. The family support you. Lecturers support you. So it is a big achievement. But if you don't get it, I don't want to go through that. Please look at the book in chapter 4. But I like to mention one thing, why people, they don't get PhD. Even when I was in London University, they were clever. They worked very hard. Brilliant. What they didn't do, they didn't have that book, that thesis. You don't have that thesis, this is the stage before the Viva. You don't get a PhD. They were brilliant. I remember, honestly, one Swedish with me in London University and Brunel, German, you know how hard worker. And in the conference, everywhere they're flying. Well, they couldn't do some of the PhD. So please read that if you can get. So as I said, the Viva, we are here. And the Viva from day one, you put it and you work towards the Viva. From day one. Not the end, a few months. And I said, this is the reflection of my journey, personal journey. I'm going to talk about before, then during, all that during the Viva, not PhD. And then after the PhD, after your Viva. Vital to read it, and I asked my student to read it before the Viva. Not the whole book. I asked them to look at oral examination, they call it. We call it Viva. But then, I don't know in that book. So that chapter, definitely, you read it, not the night before, a month before the Viva. When they told you, this is going to be external, this is going to be internal, this is going to be your chair. Why? Because they refresh after 3 years. really they get in their head. So please, that's important. As I said, not everyone has a PhD. It is massive achievement. And you should tap your shoulder and say, well done, to me, I achieved it. Yes, with the help of people, but without your effort, you cannot do it. They cannot do it for you. So it is very important for you, it is big achievement, and feel it that way. A lot of students, if not majority of them, they're afraid, oh, the Viva. This is what you work 3 years towards that aim, objective. Why you are afraid? So very important, I'm going to get there. I hope Dr. Talal, because that's usually anyone was in the information system. We hear this talk from Guy Fitzgerald, from Professor Paul as well. The 3 S's, important. Yes, you give chapter 1, you give chapter 2 literature, you give research methodology, and into conclusion. But they are not separate. Tell a story, and tell a beautiful story. So it is important to have proper structure, chapters, section, subsection, logical order. It's very important to use short sentences. With us Arab, and I'm Middle East, and I'm grateful, like where, and don't. Because the reader get lost with long sentences. Paragraph, of course, sometimes long, but not a page paragraph. Paragraph's important. And you have relevant sentences, not waffle, please. And I'm grateful to Dr. Mansour mentioned about references. What's the point? I'm using a reference 20 years ago, 10 years ago. What's the point? You tell me 10 years ago, no one did your research? Hence, it is important to use very recent and very high quality journal citation. Books, okay, but books to publish take a year. Journals, every 3 months a new subject. So he's saying, I'm keeping with the knowledge, with the real world. I contribute to the world. So it is very important, the 3 S's. You tell a good story, you link the chapter, and tell the hurdle and the difficulty you face, the challenges you face. Tell it. Please tell it. Read that book. Very important. My student, all of them, the first 6 months, they must, not should, strong English word, they must present at a conference. Of course, this is not a conference, but it is equally good as a conference. Why? Because in the future, you stand in front of your student. You start in conferences, so it's very important, at least minimum I'm talking about. Some of my students, they did 5 and 6. And one of the students, I'm very proud of her. Even she contacted me by phone, and yesterday WhatsApp me as well. She did, during her PhD, we published 1 3-star IBS, 2 2-star, and now she wants to work with me another 3-star. And she is deputy head of department in Taif University, Latifa. Which I told her, I'm sorry, busy, dear Latifa, Dr. Latifa, I'll contact you. So very important, please, why? Not just to prove yourself, but when you submit your thesis and the external and internal, they look, your actually knowledge in the public domain, in the academia, they say, oh, he is worthy or she is worthy of PhD. If you don't submit anything, no one actually have evidence about your work. And this is for students doing business management. Please submit in BAM, okay? It's always in the UK, not abroad. Of course, choose another conferences if you wish, but there you meet practitioner and academic. So the guys, they do IT or computer, AMCIs, okay? Sits in America, is prestigious. Look at that. Try to publish at least one to 2 in ABS ranking journal. Okay? Doesn't matter for me, PhD, not like us academic, 3, 4. Even 1 star. I have a few students, they did 1 star, but majority of them, they did 2 star. So publish to show that you are actually there. You are on parallel with good researcher, not PhD student, researcher you move on. So that is very crucial. This is the ABS ranking. If you don't know, just go Google, just put ABS ranking. It stands for academic journal. In business management, you have all the subject areas, starting from accounting A to business B and so on. 3-star, 4-star, 1-star. So target one relevant to you or two relevant, and always try to publish with them. I'm again reflect on Professor Mansour. I'm grateful to him. Don't read thousands of papers during PhD. It's wrong. Focus into journal, 3 journal. Keep them regularly, read them regularly. Okay, just 2-3 journal. This is for your PhD journey. Know that every research based on a problem. Each problem is different. Each approach is different. Each student is different. Each supervisor different. So don't say, I'm doing exactly like her, like him. Don't. It is your personal journey. So each one different, and we are all different on the view, and each Viva is different. I'm not pretending. Yes, I was CA lecturer in Westminster when I did my PhD. So the way they use it at the end, you did very well, Dr. Wafi. 40 minutes, the Viva finish. And I hate the word, which I told him afterwards, the external. He said, because you are in the club. I said, what are you talking about? Oh, because you are already academic. I said, you mean it's my work? This after they said, good graduation. I said, my work not worth it? They said, no, sorry, I didn't mean that. What I meant is very good work. That way, really, everything there, you put it in the thesis. Make the life of the external internal easy. Don't let them be Sherlock Holmes. Detective, they look, where did you put? Oh, wait, this page. Very crucial. What is a Viva? I put a lot, but mainly I like to shorten it. It is short for voice Viva, and you could find it in Oxford Dictionary. I said mainly, as in that book, How to Get a PhD, is an oral examination, typically for an academic qualification, which is driven from Latin. So I don't want this is the slide just for the student later on. I put the slide. So this is an oral examination. This is all started during the few days before your Viva, still in the journey of before. Please use a lot of students, they come with 1,000 stick posts and color, pink, yellow, red. You don't have time to sift. The day you met your supervisor or supervisors, they are the expert. You are the learner or student. The day you get in the Viva, the table turn around. You are the expert. You know everything in the thesis. You read it, drink it, if you like to call it. So you know every bit of it. They are the student. So they want to know. They are not getting the whip to whip you and no. The whole idea about the Viva is discussion, to know that actually not about you did the work. You are a good researcher, you know how to do. So the Viva is not going, they like to trap you or dig hole for you. So please don't use a lot, okay? But have a look. When you take the thesis with you, it's not just sit there like a magazine. If you're stuck, excuse me, turn to that page and show them the evidence. It is there for you in case you forget. But remember, you are the expert in that thesis. Also note, very important, and this is a please for anyone going to do his Viva or her Viva. Just write one page, one A4 page, no more. Not double-sided, one in front of you. Page number, what is the subject, contribution, which page, which table you want to use it. Just literally page number and that one A4. Why? Because in case in the exam you forget, or they ask you, they said, where is your conceptual framework? Oh, look at page 22, section so and so, chapter 2. So this is just before preparation. Prepare yourself. The thesis, one A4 paper with you in the exam. That's all. Before the Viva, as I said, I leave it. First, you have to submit your thesis, otherwise Viva will not take place. And it takes time to print the 3 copies in Brunel. Your supervisor tell you, we arrange someone to come to you, whatever. And sometimes as well, when you submit it, don't, even in the Viva, don't say everything. Buy, don't sell. What I mean, listen to the question and answer them. Don't, I did that, I did that. No, they didn't ask you to do that. Okay? Then if they ask you, go say, look, page so and so, I mentioned it there. If they say you didn't do it, last few days, relax, go to the movie the day before. And I mean it, go to the cinema. I got the advice from Guy, and I asked all my students to go the day before. Don't read until the morning. And then we're going to look at the Viva, what is needed, when is going to be the place. Go look at the room. You are allowed, okay? Go look at the room. And then we talk about the outcome Viva. So I'm going to talk about these stages. The first stage will submit. You have submitted? Well done. You should celebrate when submitted. This is part of celebration of getting the Viva. I did it. I achieved it. The whole idea about when I want to do to have the Viva. Discussion with your supervisor. Who's going to be the external? Even if I didn't or you didn't reference or cited her book or his book, remember on the day, if they think, yeah, I know about your topic, not necessarily you put his name or her name. Who are the examiners? Definitely you want to know who are the examiners. And look at your timetable. The Viva, as I'm going to slide, is 1 to 3 hours sometimes take, okay? So what I'll talk about, which one the main point, where is the strengths, where is the weaknesses, and please, as I said, don't memorize. Engage with your thesis. Go say, please, which you ask me that, please see page so and so. I mentioned it there. Step back from the details. The whole idea, take your time to think. If you didn't hear the question properly, say, excuse me, could you repeat the question? Take your time. 3 years, this is your day, not anyone else's day. This is your day. Okay, so prove to the examiner you are worthy of it. For example, which philosophy, they ask you which theory you use, so know about it, okay? How you engage it with your work, why you do it. The other thing as well, have you got hold of some publication from the people who doing the same topic, relevant, which you did it in chapter 2, literature review? Anything updated happening in the field? Is what you starting different to other people? Because maybe you have a framework from someone else, and what you do to be contribution to knowledge, you extend it, extension to that new context, a new study, a new research. So just in terms of detail, read your thesis carefully, not the day of the night of the exam, before, at least a week before, and ready. And do that 1 A4 paper. Do it, please. And practice. Ask your colleagues, your PhD student, ask me some questions. Practice makes perfect. See some area of weaknesses, you forget it, but don't mention it in the Viva. Always focus on your strength in the Viva. Okay? Show your contribution. What did you contribute? Extend another one study? New subject altogether? Definitely you did a very nice framework, conceptual framework, and developed at the end. So that's your own contribution, this contribution. Okay? And identify, usually at the end of as well the chapter, in conclusion, you have to put 2 contribution or implication. Academic, what do you contribute? And if the topic related to a company or you work in a company, what is the practical, the practitioner implication? Contribution to practice, contribution to academy or theory. Mock Viva. Some people, they're afraid, but I do a mock Viva for each of my students a week beforehand, a week. I bring different people, I bring the second supervisor, and we really squeeze the applicant. Why? Not we hate the applicant, not put him or her in a difficult position. Practice makes perfect. Not all the questions we will be asking the mock Viva will come, but I doubt it if not 1 or 2 they come in your Viva. So very important to do it and think positive about the mock Viva, about the Viva, and be eager to see what's going on. And it is not the end of the journey. Look forward to complete the process. Okay, look forward to complete the process. Within the Viva, what will happen? Why everything going on? Please, any worker member is not perfect. Even the PhD thesis, some of them excellent, some of them middle, some of them maybe just PhD. So it has strengths and weaknesses, but it is opportunity not to explore the weaknesses, it is your strength. But say at the end of the chapter, this could be, which is limitation, this could be done in that way, okay? And remember, they are there to discuss it with you. Yes, we call it defense, but they are not ready for any confrontation. So don't be relaxed, soft. You want a break from the Viva, you could ask for comfort to break 10 minutes, 5 minutes, it depends on the exam situation. These are general questions. Don't say, let on Dr. Wafi, in my Viva, I didn't have anyone ask me. The first question, why you decide to go in that area? Is it there is a problem in your company? You are interested? Okay, why? Or did you find it interesting? You are interested in the area, so it started. Or maybe you like to develop different way of thinking to the people. Maybe new approach, a new methodology, okay? Were there any surprises in the way? You and your supervisor, you sat, and you think, we do that, we collect data, and then when you analyze the data, something you didn't think about it, both of you. And say it, don't be afraid, okay? And look at how you change the research, look at your day one when you started, and look at the last day. Definitely your thinking changed. Maybe you have to revisit some of the citation in year one you did it, they are out of date after 3 years. So all this you have to think about it, general question. And these are during the Viva, all of it. So start with the Viva, the first usually anything new is difficult. Maybe there is panic attack, fine, relax. But mainly please the first 15 minutes, don't waffle, don't blah, blah, blah. Hit straight up. My topic in that, I'm going to demonstrate to you how I did it. So very crucial, the first minute, you show them, describe your work. 15 minutes. This is your success. The first 15 minutes, very crucial. Some supervisors, I don't, but major supervisor in the UK, they ask you to give a presentation, i.e. PowerPoint slide, but not everyone. And this is the 15 minutes. You prove to them you are actually, should be awarded the Viva. Should be awarded, sorry, PhD. And the 15 minutes is icebreaker. Maybe they don't ask you the first question about your work. Give us a bit about your background. What do you do? Okay? They ask you what's your work. The whole idea is to relax you. And then, yes, of course, they have to hit you. I use that by the questions. When you ask a question and you keep quiet, it doesn't mean you are bad. You don't answer the question. On the contrary, it shows that you have a wisdom because you are reflecting and thinking. But don't make that silence lasted for 10, 15 minutes. Be silent and they say, what was the question? Okay, good. Could you turn to that page? And then you break that silence. Even if you forget, it is there. And I'm sure when you look at that page, you remember, oh, I did that during weekend when people visit me and I said to them, sorry, I have to take myself to my room. So very important, remember please, when you be quiet, it doesn't reflect that message to the external and internal. You are not brilliant, okay? So don't worry about it. Definitely that a no-no. Even if they pointed, try not to shoot yourself, as we said in the foot. And not say, oh, I couldn't get data because that. No, or I didn't have time to collect. You have 3 years. Okay, you have 3 years, remember. 3 years from your life. So try to find something, say, that is, you are absolutely right. I might think about it, and that's good to do a paper. See how you turn the negative to positive. I'll do a paper. Or actually, that not relevant to what we do. We're doing that. We're not doing that. You asked me to do another study, another PhD. During the Viva, what is not just a problem? What is your contribution? And use the word, despite we say in academia and the thesis, please avoid using I or we. Instead, we did the research. The research has been done. I did the research. Don't say I did. The research will address this issue. But in the Viva, do not even use we. Who are we? UN supervisor? He is not. It's not his Viva or her Viva. So use I. I conducted the research in the oral Viva. I went contact that company. They didn't respond to me. I spent that hours, whatever, and put evidence. Put evidence, appendix, write in it if not enough. So please always remember that. Contribution. Definitely question any PhD, what is your contribution? There is that question, definitely. It is a Viva question. During the Viva, expected, I said earlier on, from 1 hour to 3 hours. So don't keep looking at your watch or clock or whatever. Cut off yourself from the world. You are there with them. You want to prove to them that you are really worthy of that PhD. As simple as that. Forget about the time. Sometimes, if examiners, not one, ask you so many questions, don't get annoyed. Why they ask you so many questions? Not to trip you or to trick you. No, they are interested. When they ask so many questions, they are interested in that topic. So show them actually where you lead them. Enjoy it. As funny enough as these some of the words Dr. Shirley and Professor Mansour and Professor Abdullah say. Enjoy it. It's your day. I know it sounds silly, but enjoy it. Okay? And the details I give it later on to the student. Of course, there is percentage, apology. There is percentage about, which I like to say, in the natural applied science, I give some area, 43% lasted 2 hours. And compared to the art, 83% on humanity and social sciences. Okay? So don't worry about the time. Time is nothing, just a number. Like with all respect, not because I am old and our elite in Ahliya, old and Brunel, age is a number. Each one of us think in a different way. Some people are old, but they are very creative. Like Professor Abdullah said about that famous American professor. So time is a number. For please, lovely PhD student, researcher, forget about it in the Bible. This is, I got it from Brunel because I'm conscious of the time. This is after, i.e., you have your oral examination. They ask you, and your first supervisor only allowed, by the way, and he or she can't speak. They are their moral support. It is your PhD, remember. They ask you both to leave the room. They said, give us 10, 15 minutes. So relax and be patient. You go out, then you come back. Whatever they say to you, congratulate you. What are actually in a Brunel, the criteria recommendation? The first one is award PhD without any correction. And in my 12th period in a Brunel, just two guys they got without correction. One of them I was the chair, one of them I was internal, maybe other. But usually the case, which don't be actually alarmed, usually you should be awarded that within 6 months. And this is what we call it minor correction. So I give you 6 months. It doesn't mean you have to finish with 6 months. If you do it within a month, submit. The other one is you should not be awarded to the PhD, okay? Resubmit or revise the thesis. And re-examination sometimes. Sometimes with, sometimes without examination within 12 months. And this is what we call major correction. And very few people, they got that. The other one, this is the really hit me, what happened once. I heard it, I wasn't present. This thesis has met the standard. Brilliant. But look, candidate failed to satisfy, couldn't explain, which is very, very sad, tragic. Don't do that. That's why I said practice, practice, practice. Be able to defend it. And then you'll be given to resubmit it, but very short period, because the thesis is valid. You don't have to do much, but you to practice with your verbal. The last one is, sorry, before the last one. The thesis is just the examiner to be inefficient, okay? A standard of doctor. So why? It's not up to the level of doctor. So either they give you examination, or they say to you, so within 6 months, or they say, sorry, this is MPhil. And finally, that the degree has not been awarded because the thesis is not up to the standard. The candidate is not up to the standard. And for me, personal reflection, personal experience, to get just any student, my student, to the PhD, that's success. Because the Viva is for you, it's your success. My success is achieve, I manage to put you on that stage. So for you to do it. 5 tips, and finally, 5 tips to pass your Viva. Number 1, understand it is not a fight or a trap. Understand what they expect from you, the external and internal. Know your thesis inside out. It's your work. No one else did it for you. No one else have written it for you. It is your work. So you show that it is your work. Of course, you go to the Viva without questions, sitting what? It is a cafeteria? No. The idea they ask you questions, not to test you, to have this nice discussion, dialogue, intelligent dialogue. Learn about your examiner own work. Google. Thank to Google these days. And all this is a job for our generation. And finally, plan towards the examination of Viva. Look at Google exam question. Talk to your guys. They did the Viva before. How was the experience? No harm. Despite it is your Viva, your success, but you don't imagine, again, personal experience, how happy I am when my student get through the Viva. It is my happiness as well, not my sort of label I get. I get my label. So success of PhD student is success of his or her supervisor and the success of the institute. Ahliya, proud to work with them. It is nothing against any other university in Bahrain or maybe Arab world, one of the early adopter of PhD program. A lot of universities have master, whatever. So I'm very privileged really to say I work with Ahliya. Final word. Practice, 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 practice. I could forever. Practice makes perfect, okay? And definitely before you go to the Viva, at least 2 weeks, reread again that chapter about, because you'll get a lot of hints. And the title of the book there, despite the picture. And by the way, you don't have to buy it. Go to Google, PDF free. Download it in your PC or your laptop. Thank you very much. If there is any question, I'm more than happy. I try to leave any questions. Thank you.